So with that, we'll look at what are the different hardware requirements that we need to install SolarWinds. SolarWinds platform will only run on Windows machine. Okay. Firstly, we'll look at the hardware requirements. We require a virtual machine with 4 core or 8 cores. A virtual machine with CPUs as 4 core or 8 cores, hard RAM as 16 GB or 32 GB. And
Got
these
it.
requirement is for a smaller environment to medium environment. If it is a
Okay.
smaller environment, let's say 500 elements.
Sure.
We
Got it.
discussed about elements yesterday, right? If it is only
Yes,
500
yes.
elements, which approximately, to my knowledge, contributes around 70 to 100 nodes or 70 to 100 devices, can go with 4 core and 16 GB RAM. If it is a medium environment where it ranges between 500 to 2000 elements, we have to go with cores, 8 cores and 32 GB RAM.
Mm.
If it is a larger environment, the resources should be 8 core and 32 GB RAM. If it is an extra large environment, it can be 12 core to 64 GB.
Okay. Got
Make
it.
sense?
Yes.
So accordingly, you have to plan your course.
Right. Okay.
So most of the customers will have extra large environment only, which is more than 2000 elements. So you have to go with 12 core and 64 GB RAM.
Okay. For
And
every
I'm
additional
talking,
polling engine
yeah,
as well.
yep, yep. It's good if you can have additional polling engines as well the same way, 12 core and 64 GB.
Okay.
Yeah. And it works on 2016, 19 and 22 as well. 22 is the latest. I hope they'll deprecate 2016, so ask for Windows OS as 2019.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay.
And
Okay.
it's the same server requirements, software requirements. So in software requirements, we it should have a Windows Server 2019 or 2019. It's a Windows Server 2019 with a Microsoft license. And moving on to the database requirements. Like I said, database for to build a database server, we require 8 GB or 16 GB RAM for smaller environments and 20 to 40 GB hard disk.
Okay. Okay. Got it.
Okay,
8 to
for
16 RAM and okay.
yeah,
This is for
8
a
to 6
small.
small environments
Okay.
where are less than 500 elements.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Okay.
and for medium, large, you can go with 16 GB, 64 GB, and if it's a large, you can go with 64 to 128 GB. All these things you can quickly search in the Google saying SolarWinds software requirements and find out, and accordingly you can raise a request to submit. You can submit a request for the system requirements.
Okay, got it. Yeah,
Yeah.
Chandra, here CPU resources not required, like
Yes.
for this database.
Yeah. Like dual quad core processor are better. That means I think it is greater than 3 gigahertz. Yeah, which will
Okay.
automatically comes around. Yeah, I think they if you ask for dual core processor, I think they'll definitely allocate you something around 16 GB of with 3 gigahertz clock speed. Okay,
Okay.
that means they will. That means it has a better performance. It will have a better performance.
Okay. This processor is like a CPU, right? Dual quad core processor or
Yes, yes, yes. These are nothing but cores, but in CPU terminology, we call it as dual core something. And if you
okay.
mention dual core, they'll assign something around 62 or 32 cores. That I am not sure. Maybe we can look at the documentation. Yeah, even here they have mentioned like CPUs with dual quad core processor. What is dual quad core meaning? Okay, a quad core means four processors it seems. Dual quad core means eight processors, or even more than that, is what they're telling in the internet.
Okay,
Because
okay. Hmm.
okay, and accordingly you have to plan your resources as well. For 256 GB to 512 GB and 2 terabytes of hard disk, and read write IOPS should be 30,000 IOPS to per second. So to, and they're also recommending SSD for our database, not HDD, SSD for faster performance.
Okay, got it.
Okay.
Okay, okay. And in that, where hard disk is not required, like in the application server for application server.
Application server doesn't store any data, right? So some GB, whatever, it only stores some related thing, and for that we have already mentioned you, right? So yeah, to some extent, the Windows drive, C drive, D drive, we require some space, and that is fine. But specifically
Okay, okay.
they are mentioning as SSD here because database stores large chunks of data. I think around 80 GB of data is fine for you in application servers.
18 GB. Okay.
80.
That's 80. Okay.
Yeah, and
Got it.
what they do is they'll write log files. They'll have some SolarWinds
Mm-hmm.
application related files, those kinds of things. To store those kinds of files, we require the space.
Huh. Hmm. Okay, got it. Even
Clear
syslogs
with
also there. If we
sys
don't have
no
a space.
Syslogs will be stored again in the database.
Okay. Okay, got
Syslogs
it.
and traps are stored in the database. You need not to
Okay,
worry about
only
it.
that. But in application server, I when I saw na the logs npm logs were there.
Yeah,
npm backup
NCM or NPM.
ncm.
Yeah, NCM backup logs, we can configure it wherever we need. I'll show you at the time of NCM classes where do we need
Sure,
to
sure.
configure. You can change the path to D drive as well or to any other SFTP folder as well, where that path will be taken to store
Got it.
the download the NCM backups.
In
By
any place.
default,
In an,
yeah, in any place we can store it.
by default, you were saying.
It by default it takes the path wherever the SolarWinds is installed, and that is why I told you to take 80 GB of space
For that, okay. Because in
for
my
application
environment,
servers.
right? Because in my environment, I am able to see, right? It stores in SolarWinds application server and some backup files.
Mm,
So
correct.
okay,
It stores in the application. NCM backups will be stored in the application server only. Log
okay.
backups. Those are
Log
the
backup
only things that won't be written into database. Those are config
okay
files. It will be stored here itself.
in application server only, and the rest of the things
Yes,
stored in database. Okay, got it.
correct. Yeah. So yeah, clear with the system requirements for application
Yeah,
server and database server. And the same, you have to submit two database servers, one for your SolarWinds
that's
Orion and second one for SolarWinds NetFlow.
and yeah, got it.
And application servers, if you have HA license, you can submit into two. I mean, if you have one main polling engine and one additional polling engine, and if you want HA, you can submit four application servers.
Okay, got it. Okay, Chandra, if someone will ask like if you need set up an environment, then what you required, basic thing. So we can say like two application server, primary and
Yes,
secondary, and two database server. One is for
correct,
one is for SolarWind, Orange, and another one is for NTA, right?
correct. And
Okay.
again, it depends on number of devices that the customer has, including devices means routers, switches, firewalls,
Mhm.
servers, everything. Number of IP
Got it.
addresses. Yeah.
Mhm. Okay, got it. Means okay for NTAs, matlab, we can't if we will ask like only one server is required. Means if 100 devices are there or we have 500, then NTA would be there, right? NTA database server is required, right?
Yeah, if they want NTA, it's okay. If we need it, it's better to have it on a different server. We can have it on the same server as well, but
For
never ever
performance.
recommend that. Never ever
Hmm.
recommend that because it will degrade the lot of performance and you'll end up troubleshooting SolarWinds daily with one P1 issue.
Got it, got it.
Yeah, so always have a separate server for NetFlow.
Okay,
So, and if you are clear, we'll move on to some important ports that are required for SolarWinds.
okay,
Yeah, those are some hardware and software requirements, and you can quickly refer the article that I am sharing over the chat to look at to gain some insight about software and hardware requirements. Okay, and moving on to some system requirements ports that needs to be opened for our SolarWinds servers to other applications or other network devices. So we need to
okay.
open the list of ports called 17777, which is a
Sorry.
SolarWinds Orion module engine service port. And this module
Okay,
engine service will interact with all other application services or other all other application services and verify if the system is healthy or not. Okay.
okay,
We'll come to
okay.
know about this module engine during the time of installation. This is a service
Got
when we get, we'll
H.
suppose,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. Let me tell you something here. If you have HA enabled, and
mhm.
if there is another server, if a primary server service is not responding, Orion module engine is the service that gonna push stop the services and start the services on the other side.
Okay, okay, got it. Like that's
Yeah.
why in HA, like if primary servers, all the services are running, but in secondary, all the services are shutting down except this one, module engine.
Yes. Correct. That is why.
So what is there? What is does like pushing to the services to active in another server, right? Which
Correct.
uh,
Correct.
okay, okay.
Yeah, that's correct. So that is the main primary purpose, and it should be always on available to work your HA functionality very well.
So
So
basically, what it does, basically, if you can see in a one line, what it does, like,
it starts interacting with all the services and gets the response if everything is working fine or not.
okay,
Yeah.
got it. And this 777 port is enabled from SolarWind applications from SolarWind application server side or like
Yes,
from
from the SolarWinds application server side, your Windows team should be enable this. If not,
okay. For
firewall
in
team should enable.
got it.
Yeah.
In all the additional polling engine as well, this port
Yes.
this should be enabled.
Yes. So
Okay.
basically, the additional all our SolarWinds servers should be able to connect to this port without any issue.
Okay. Through which this port they are talking to each other, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. And 17778
17778 is basically used for. Have you heard the word API?
API, yeah, hard.
Yeah, any application will have APIs for accessing
Hmm.
and writing some script and for some automation. For that, if you want to do some API, 17778 is the port that is required.
Okay, because recently we have configured 2024.20, so where this port has been changed, 17774 I think has been replaced
Yeah,
for this
yeah,
port.
yeah.
Okay.
Even I guess
So
I
what?
saw an article. I think it's
Because
replaced.
what happened? Because what happened once we install this version, then our alerts team, right? Because it is integrated
Mhm.
with some. So they told me like they didn't get the alert, since you have installed this version. Then I checked out.
Okay.
Then I got to know this 7778 is replaced with 774 port. So I asked to replace this port. Then the alerts would be going there. Oh,
Yeah, yeah, I think. So even I saw an article but haven't read that. Yeah, I think it's 'cause now they replaced the port in the latest version.
okay, so this port is also enabled from SolarWinds server side or from where?
Yes, yes. From outside, if you want to access SolarWinds API, this port should be accessible. This port will also be open from SolarWinds server.
Okay, and from their side as well,
No, no, no. If
where-
SolarWinds API listens on this port, as long as if they open this port on the SolarWinds server side, as long as you can access the server, you can access this port.
okay, okay, got to know. Means 777 port is open from SolarWinds server side. It is for communication to each other, like for
Yeah.
other additional folder, and the 778 also should be open from SolarWinds application server side for
Yes. Yes.
accessing, like once API connected to SolarWinds server, this port should be open, right?
Yes.
Okay, good for access to API and agent communication.
Yes. And
Okay,
clear.
because yeah, I clear actually. I always get confused in the sports. Like, generally, if, in interview question they are asking like which port is used for which. Like generally in SCL, right? And I
Yeah.
have given an interview, so they are asking only for this port one. They are focusing on port. So
Yeah.
I
You have to
always,
remember these ports.
so
You
only
have
these
to
port is
remember this
required,
port.
right?
Yeah.
Only
Yeah.
these
These
port.
are the majority ports. Yeah. I think they'll not go beyond these ports.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uh, uh,
And 1433 is a SQL Server port. SQL Server is our database, right? And
mhm.
from communication between our application servers
Mm.
and SQL database server, 1433 is the port.
Okay. So this port is enabled because I'm getting confused. Like this port is enabled from which side? Like SolarWinds server side or like database side? Like from where
See,
it
I
should be
think
enabled?
they should be enabled. See, 1433 should be enabled at the database side.
Okay.
Our application servers will connect to the database over this port.
Oh, okay. Okay. From server
One,
side, it
yeah,
it should be fun.
correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
80, as you might know, it's a HTTP port. 443 is a HTTPS port if you have installed SSL certificate. And 43692572 and 5672 and 5671. These are some RabbitMQ ports and something related to messaging queues. So you have to, I mean, these should be enabled because the communication from application to, I mean, the messages will suppose, let's say, uh, we have a SolarWinds application server that is talking to a router, and again it talks to the router for the next 120 seconds, and again it talks to the router for one. All these are some messages that application server will write to the database.
Okay.
This is nothing but RabbitMQ does. This messaging is something that RabbitMQ does, and RabbitMQ should have these ports open. So, as a part of it, 17777 is our Orion Module Engine port. Orion Module Engine is a core service of SolarWinds, and this core service is helpful for interacting with other different SolarWinds services. I'll show you once the installation is done. And 17778 is for Swiss API for calling the APIs of SolarWinds, and 1433 is should be enabled for communication between SolarWinds server and SolarWinds database server. By default, in within anywhere in the industry, SQL Server port is 1433, and HTTP is 80 and HTTPS is 443, and 43692567 all these are RabbitMQ ports, and RabbitMQ is nothing but a messaging service where the information of in the form of messages will be written to database by application. And 161 and 162 are ports related to SNMP. 161 is useful for uh, s- sending SNMP information. What does that mean? We have a SolarWinds server and we will add a router or a switch using SNMP. SolarWinds uses this 161 port to connect to that router. Make sense? SolarWinds uses this 161 port to connect that router and pull the information related to SNMP. Okay?
Uh, uh, Chandra, I think 161 is the UDP port, right? Uh,
Correct. 161 is a UDP port. But why it is TCP here? Okay, very good. So even the SolarWinds articles have some bugs here. Yeah, 161 is a UDP port. According to my knowledge, let me quickly Google as well. Is
okay.
161. Yeah, it's a UDP port. UDP port itself, because correct. But I don't know. This screenshot is directly captured from
Right.
SolarWinds itself.
Okay.
Yeah, so yeah, maybe they have
Cannot edit even.
that. Yeah, that's okay. But you understood what is the purpose of 161, right?
I think yeah. Sending and receiving
Yeah,
information from the device, right?
yeah. SNMP
Uh,
information. By default, SNMP port is 161. You have to make a note of it, and you have to, while adding the node, it will ask what is the port number of SNMP. There,
yeah.
you have to.
Uh, Actually, the network team they will ask us to like which port, like whenever we add the device, right? They ask for which port they need to open from device side. So this
Yeah,
161 port should be open from device side or from SolarWinds application
yes,
server side.
from device side. SolarWinds
Okay.
interacts with the device and collects the SNMP information. So it
Okay.
should be
Through
open
via
at
this
the
port.
device side. Yeah.
Mm, okay. Okay. And one more thing, actually, whenever we are doing this telnet now 161 port, it is not
Mhm.
happening just because of UDP or what? Like why it is?
Uh, I don't think so because of that. Maybe some telnet restrictions within your organization, I believe.
Okay, so what we okay, like we do the telnet night, so it should be happen right because if I do
Mm,
the telnet and I device IP should be work right.
yeah, yeah, it should work. It should work actually.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So, and 162 is for SNMP trap messages. What is a trap? Any idea?
Trap. I think these are the messages coming from the device, like
Yeah,
what is being happened
correct.
in the device.
Correct. What is if SolarWinds asks device to send information, that is called as SNMP information or SNMP message. Trap is something device itself send a message to SolarWinds that I am running out of my hard disk, I am running out of my CPU. Yeah, those are called as traps, and these traps are being communicated using 162 port.
Okay, so these also should be enable open from device side, right?
Yes, yes. By default, SolarWinds server as well will work as a SNMP trap receiver. So you have to provide the SolarWinds server IP and a port on the device, and through that port, it will deliver the message to SolarWinds server.
Mm, Okay, means from the device side it should be open this port, and we should
Yes.
give the IP to them or what, like
No, I'll you able to see my services screen.
yes, yes,
So you see the SNMP trap here. So
yes.
I'm showing you for an example for a Windows. So if you open properties and click on dependencies, okay, SNMP is not installed here. So that's why you're not here. It will uh, give you an option to provide an IP address. Maybe is it because of okay. Okay, I can show this within your server. Here, along with the dependencies tab, we'll have one more tab where we can add our SolarWinds Server IP. Once we add that IP and 162 port, whatever events recorded on this server will be sent to SolarWinds server. Okay.
Uh, okay. Means, yeah, Chandra. Actually, if they will ask us to, they want to get capture the trap, then what we have to say to them?
Yeah.
How?
You tell them that to you give your SolarWinds main polling engine IP or SolarWinds additional polling engine IP and ask them to send
Okay.
traps to these IPs. That's it. And
Okay. So on
once they said that they have configured, it's their uh, cup of tea to send the traps to SolarWinds. Once they have sent it, you should actually log in into your SolarWinds console and then in the My Dashboards logs log viewer, you should be able to search here with the IP or hostname and see all the traps or syslog messages sent to your SolarWinds. And there is nothing much that we will do as a SolarWinds admin here. You should have to provide your additional polling engine or a primary server
okay,
IP
means
and
we
ask
have to.
them to send. Yeah.
Okay, means we should give like our main pulling engine IP as well as additional pulling engine IP and ask to them just
Any.
configure
Yeah.
the trap from their side. And what we will do, we will get these the trap messages
Message.
from console, right? And
Yes.
all are
Yes.
stored in database only, right? Like in database server, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, okay.
So
And they,
you have to give only one server, whether it is main server or additional polling engine. If you give two servers, you'll see duplicate events, which is unnecessary burden to see SolarWinds system as well. So better use only one server.
but Chandra, if for example, like some devices are monitored through the additional polling engine and some are from main server, then if we will give
Yeah, that's
one IP address.
what hmm, that's what you have to plan during the time of installation itself, because this site or this data center, this production data center is being monitored with this polling engine. This non-prod data center is being monitored with this polling engine. If you can plan during the time of installation like this, you'll be able to uh, eradicate these kind of issues.
Uh, okay. I was thinking like if we will give both the IPs to them, then whatever device is being pulled from like the server, we will get the trap of that only, right? Means because if we are
Correct,
having five
but
server,
if you
mm,
send it to two servers, here in the you'll see two event log messages. If you are okay with it, then it's okay. You can work on it. But I only give it only one server, and I don't want any duplicates to my SolarWinds. So that's why I only give only one server.
I got you. Like you are saying, like we either in either main server or additional, right? But
Correct.
it is fine, right? But if the device is being pulled from, I have give, for example, I have given like a main primary server IP to them and asked them configure the syslog. Okay, okay. If if some devices are being pulled from additional, still
Hmm.
that we will get the syslogs from there.
Yes, yes, we
Sorry,
should
traps
be
from
able to get, yes, yes, we should be able to get those. There won't be any
trap.
issue with it. Yeah,
Okay, means from and from devices means being pulled from additional as well, but we will get the traps right from primary, right?
correct.
Okay.
So yeah, 16443 I said HTTPS port, and 135. Do you know about WMI? WMI is an
Uh,
another alternate protocol to SNMP, which is developed by Microsoft only for Windows devices. Some clients use
okay,
WMI as well for monitoring Windows servers. Okay, and that port
okay.
is 135. I will discuss about
So,
all these things detail while adding a node. Okay,
mhm.
and 587 is SMTP port. Uh, when we want to configure or send alerts to an email, this port should be open. Uh, SMTP port, yeah, and
I think
17790. Yeah,
SMTP port is this only. Think
yeah. Even I'm getting a question, but that's okay. SMTP port is 139, I guess.
I think this is differ from
Yeah.
587.
Okay. Okay. I think this screenshot might be okay. Okay. I think we can quickly look at Google as well and find out what SMTP port, but that is not a showstopper for us. And
Okay, okay.
yeah, and 17790 is a port where SolarWinds agent will be using. So what
Uh,
communication
okay.
protocols we have? SNMP, WMI, and SolarWinds agent. Is it? I can't you see the PPT because
Yeah, I see. I can see.
I think it's only for you, Mahesh.
No, no, he's saying PPT he's able to see, but he's thinking maybe your screen.
No, no, no.
I think as of
I'm not. I haven't moved into any other page. I have only looking into PPT.
yeah, yeah, complete because
How
when you
about
were
now?
typing, na, I think now it's actually Chandra, when you were typing something now on Google now, so that
Mm-hmm.
typing we are unable to see, but the rest of the things we can see, like the
Okay.
header part we were unable
Okay.
to see. I
Okay.
think,
Now it's fine, right?
now it's fine for me.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
And how about you, Mahesh? Okay. 17790 is a SolarWinds port. So, what are the three communication protocols that SolarWinds use to interact with other devices or servers? Now, you should might
Okay.
get some clarity.
Okay. Okay, Chandra.
Yeah.
Just okay. I want to ask two or three things. That's it. What is the difference between WMI and SNMP? Like WMI, you
Mm,
told me like from which is used for Windows Server. So, matlab means it is also feasible like SNMP will get the all the information from the server.
yes. Yes. SNMP is a protocol, is an open source protocol that is developed
Okay,
by some open source people, and it can be enabled on all the devices, routers,
got it.
switches, Linux, Windows, storage, and some
Got it.
VMware devices as well. But WMI is only developed by Microsoft only for Windows servers.
Windows Server.
Yeah,
So means it also capture the same thing whatever SNMP
same.
can capture
Yes, yes,
because SNMP works on the basis of OIDs, right?
yes.
And the
WMI works on the
WMI,
basis of CIA, Common Information Model, and this model will have some each model each thing to identify each object within that Windows Server.
Acha, object based CIM.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, CIM based. CIM based.
o-
This
Okay. And
common information
CIM.
model, yeah, is responsible for CIM will have all the things of a Windows Server, and WMI credentials by accessing this CMI, it will fetch all the information of C drive, D
Server.
drive, E drive, CPU, memory, services, everything.
Okay. CMI. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. No issues. Just tell me one thing. Like this port should be enabled from. Can you repeat like which port should be enabled from the server side or application side? Which you can like
So
177.
1433 should be enabled at the database side.
Okay. And
161,
1077 from starting
161,
like.
yeah, yeah, 1 minute. 1433 should be enabled from database side. 161,
Okay.
162, and
443.
what is 135. These three should be enabled at the device side. Apart from
Okay.
this, all other things should be enabled at the SolarWinds application side.
Okay. 1000. Okay. Got
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. So 161, 162, and 135. These are SNMP WMI protocols, which means wherever SNMP or WMI is being enabled at those devices, this should be enabled.
Okay. From device side, this port should be enabled. Okay.
Yes. By
Okay.
default, if you install these services, it will be enabled, I guess, at the device end, but not 100% sure.
Okay. Means we can ask to them like this port, like
Yeah,
if they
yeah,
will ask for the one.
yep.
Okay. Got it.
If you tell them, I think this your engineers will be uh, matured enough to grasp this. And like I
Okay.
said,
And one more thing, this 7790 na, this is for agent,
yeah,
right?
SolarWinds agent,
For
correct.
agent, I think two ports are there, right? Like
Yes,
server
I
initiated
think
and
there is
agent
another
initiated.
server initiated and
So both
agent initiated.
like they are having
One double
different.
seven nine zero is a recommended one, and if you enable this, agent will work in a passive mode. So we'll come to know about that agent
Okay.
communication protocols as well in the later
Okay.
sessions. I have a slide for that as well. So, and coming to the monitoring protocols. So these monitoring protocols are not only specific to SolarWinds, it's okay with any type of monitoring. We use these protocols. ICMP is only for ping, so it doesn't give you any other response apart from status or packet loss and response time. Whereas
Okay.
SNMP gives the information in depth based upon the object identifiers. SNMP pulls information like CPU, memory, disk space, interfaces, and their utilization, drives utilization, how many cores are there, how much GB of RAM is there. Each thing will have an unique identifier, and by using that, it will pull the information. It pulls some system inventory information like system name, system IP address, DNS name, those information as well. Okay, and
Okay. Okay.
Syslogs are something called as system logs, and these logs are helpful for us in troubleshooting when an issue happened. And we can send these syslogs to SolarWinds. And WMI is 135 port. And Telnet, you might know, we need this Telnet to connect to network devices for config downloads, which will look at the which will have a in-depth look when we move on to NCM module. At that time, I'll
Mm,
show you how to download the config using this telnet port and SSH as well. Some we had to connect to remote devices or to connect to a Linux server and run a script to identify any service running, or to just wanted to know an output by running a script. We use this SSH port and TFTP port for configuration, uh, upload or copying the downloaded configuration to any folder path, any TFTP location path. Okay, so why to use
TFTP.
network monitoring protocols are ICMP, SNMP, and WMI, along with that SolarWinds agent.
Okay. A TFTP is like a path or what it is?
Yeah, I think it's a shared path. It is like a shared path where I mean, for it can be accessible from most of the servers if the server is given permission. This is like a
Okay.
shared path. Yeah. So where we will use this TFTP to store our NCM config backups.
Oh,
One
okay.
thing,
And
ICMP in the second column, port column, layer 3 and no port. What does mean by no port here?
So ICMP will not have any port by default.
Port number, okay.
No port number.
Through only ICMP what we can achieve exactly means only
We
ping
can just,
like
yeah, ping it up and down, uptime and downtime of a device or a server. Whether the server is up or down, that is the only information that we can get using this.
and here SNMP
Mhm.
right side of this one 161 port is for polling means
Yes. Polling means SolarWinds. When you add a device or a server in SolarWinds, SolarWinds uses this 161 port to collect to the server and poll all the information.
okay, this will initiate from the
Server
device, right? Server.
161 polling means SolarWinds server is initiating the handshake. Polling means SolarWinds server will go and say hi to the server or a network device and ask to send the information. Okay, send me the information of this hard drive. Send me the information of this interface utilization, like that.
Then
Okay,
the device will reply on which port number? Again, same port
same
number or
161, correct, 161, same.
same port. Okay. They could you 162 trap? Could you repeat once again in this?
162 traps basically for so device sending here SolarWinds will not ask for any polling information. Device itself will send some log message as a
Okay.
trap or as a trap to SolarWinds server.
Could you give me one example of this trap server? Like just now you showed me in the Windows server, it is inbuilt enabled. I mean, it is available.
So I'll
But
show you when we have the VM ready, Mahesh.
okay,
Okay.
uh, okay. Okay, Chandra, this syslog part you will cover later, right? Because I'm having
Yes.
some confusion on that syslog.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I have slides here. I'll cover it. The ICMP, SNMP, Syslog, everything.
Because
WMI
I'm
agents. I have slide here. I'll cover it.
because
Okay.
yesterday you were telling right syslog having I know different server and also I couldn't
No, no, no.
understand.
That server is being maintained by your network engineers. You need not to worry about that syslog server. See,
Okay.
all the logs they have to maintain at some place. All the
Hmm.
device logs for auditing or for some kind of things they have to maintain at some place. Okay. From that server, we'll start sending the required information to SolarWinds. You got it? See, let you have 10,000 Windows servers and some 500 network devices. All these devices log information. They will build a syslog server. Your network engineers or someone within your team will build a syslog server, and they'll start collecting all the system logs information into that syslog. The reason because of it is they don't know, they for audit purpose some auditor might come and ask us to show logs in the system, in the server or in the network device. The logs might go away, the logs might get archived, right? So for archival purpose, they to maintain another copy, they'll send all this to Syslog. You need not to worry about all these things. All these things will be taken care by your Windows engineer or a network engineer, and from Syslog to SolarWinds as well, it will be taken care by them only.
If you like our videos, then subscribe to our channel and be a part of the journey with GoLogica and stay connected with the latest videos.